everyone, I'm Rainy Tinney, and I took public transit for the first time. Now before you call me out of touch, let me explain. I've mentioned before that I grew up very sheltered. Therefore, I always had family members drive me to where I needed to go. There was never a need to take public transportation, nor was I allowed to go anywhere by myself. The only times I was allowed to go out was walking to and from school, which even then was a 10-minute walk. It also didn't help that I looked like this on that day. For transportation, I took a train and a ferry to SF. Not gonna lie, I was having a lot of trouble setting up an account with the Clipper Card app because it wasn't accepting my phone number because it said the area code on my phone number didn't exist. Oh, I'm sorry, Clipper app. Silly me for putting the number AT&T gave me. Let me go to the AT&T store really quick and just get a whole new phone number with a real area code. I ended up putting an old phone number which isn't in use anymore and then put my real phone number as a backup, and somehow that worked. I don't know, man. I'm still peeved about it. So we got on the train at like 10:30, and it was a pretty nice ride. The train ran very smoothly, and I got to see the pretty scenery on the way to the ferry terminal. After a very smooth ride, we got off the train at Larkspur. Now, it isn't too far of a walk to the ferry terminal, but it is a bit of a walk if you're trying to hop off a train 1 minute and then get on a ferry the next, because that is pretty much the window of time you have to get your butt from the train to the ferry. When we got to the ferry terminal, the boat had already left, and the gates were closed. Now, since this is my first time taking public transportation, I wasn't sure if the Clipper Card on my phone also paid for the ferry. I was 85% sure it did, but because I didn't see a tap and go station and only saw ticket kiosks outside where we needed to be, I started to doubt myself. It also didn't help that the person who was with me also wasn't sure and was low-key panicking, which made me panic and made me buy a round-trip ferry ticket that cost me $28, just in case I was wrong. I wasn't! This really peeved me off, because with the Clipper Card, the ferry ticket was like $6, but for the one-time round-trip ticket, it was $28. I was so mad. So mad! So mad. It also didn't help that I hadn't eaten anything, and the only vending machines available were inside the gate. We got on the ferry with my $28 round-trip ticket around 12:45, and that too was a pretty nice ride. The weather was nice, the ocean was pretty, and I got some nice videos out of it. Also, there was a small bar on the ferry which I thought was pretty funny. Imagine you're a commuter on your way to a regular 9-to-5 office job in SF, and instead of ordering a tea or a coffee like a normal person, you get an espresso martini at like 7 a.m. We got to the SF ferry port at 1:30, and we were already on a time crunch because the last train home was at 8:20, which means we had to be on the ferry at 6:30. So we got off the ferry and walked through the port, which had all kinds of shops and restaurants inside. There was also a pigeon taking a nice afternoon stroll inside. We then walked all the way to Pier 39, which was quite a long walk, but it was nice because there was the occasional art piece to look at. Now, for those who have never been to San Francisco, I'm sure you've heard the rumors that it smells like pure sewage. Well, let me clear the air and set the record straight. The rumors are true! The rumors are true! If you get too close to certain curbs, you will smell straight up dookie particles! It was nasty! It was like entering a different climate on certain sidewalks. Don't get me wrong, SF is a beautiful city. It has history, it has charm, but that doesn't mean it's a clean city. As much as I think they try, there is only so much that they can do. I mean, come on, the whole city is built on a grid. You're literally driving up hills at 45-degree angles. If someone does their business at the top of a hill, where do you think it's gonna go? Anyways, we got to Pier 39, which is one of the biggest tourist hubs in SF, right next to their neighbor Fisherman's Wharf, and then the SF Bridge down the way. More on that later. So we headed to Bubba Gump's for lunch. I got the I'm Stuffed Shrimp and the Jenny's Pink Lemonade, which is an alcoholic drink that came with a souvenir shaker. Alcohol as a drink of choice on an empty stomach was not a smart move. I only had half of it before I started feeling tipsy. Side tangent, when you get tipsy, how do you know you're at that point? For me, my cheekbones start feeling warm and almost a little numb, like kinda tingly. When I start to feel that, that's how I know I gotta slow down. The food was good and it was already 4. With the remaining time that we had, we decided to walk around Fisherman's Wharf. Now, at Fisherman's Wharf, there is so much to do if you have money and time. We barely had one of those things. We looked around some of the stores, and one of them is called It's Sugar, which is a giant candy store with all kinds of merch of your favorite candy brands. But my favorite place is the Antique Arcade. The Antique Arcade, just as the name suggests, has a bunch of turn-of-the-century coin-operated machines. This place has been open since 1933 and has quite a few relics such as Laughing Sal, an animatronic that used to belong to Playland at the beach, but now lives here. Pop 2 quarters in and you can watch her contagious laughter ring through the arcade. I mean, just listen to her melodious laughter. It's the stuff of dreams, right? Right? Inside her case are a few old items from Laughing Sal's glory days, such as old tickets, CDs, and a plaque that says this: one of San Francisco's most nostalgic landmarks, originally located at Playland at the Beach from 1940 to 1972. Laughing Sal, also known as Fat Lady, has made us smile and/or terrified children for over 50 years. Bring history to life with the investment of 50 cents. Another popular relic is the Carnival, a mechanical carnival that was made by a retired showman. The plaque on it says this: this beautifully detailed mechanical masterpiece was built by a carnival showman who was injured, forcing his retirement. His love of the gay and exciting amusement world inspired him to design and build this magnificent carnival. This thing was so big and so detailed. We wandered around a bit and played with a few other arcade games. Some were simple and fun, and others were dark. I don't know why, but I have always liked the carnival/circus look, or aesthetic. Others would call it creepy or scary because they usually associate it with clowns, but I never minded clowns, so I never understood why it was so scary. A little tradition of mine is that whenever I go someplace and I see a fortune-telling machine, like a Zoltar or in this case, the amazing mystical grandma, I like to get one just for the fun of it. This is what grandmother's prophecy said.
I see a great deal of happiness in store for you. You will receive a letter soon, and that letter can easily be said to change the whole course of your life. You deserve this happiness because you have been so faithful and sincere in your love. However, if you wish to continue to be happy, you'll have to learn not to be too trustworthy. Avoid the flatterers and be a little more careful in choosing your friends.
And then it goes into some stuff about how amethysts were made for me and that I should wear them for good luck. After we had our fun at the arcade, it was time to head back to the ferry terminal because the last train is at 8 and we did not want to be left stranded. So we started heading back around 5:30 p.m. Because it started to get dark, a lot of the artworks that we passed by earlier came to life. The ferry terminal at night is so pretty. It was like a whole new building. I also managed to get a video of the Flippy sign changing, which was so cool. So we got on the ferry and we knew we were going to have to run to get on the train because, again, the train station and the ferry are not a close walk, nor are the departures working with one another. So we're rushing to catch this train and it's like 7:45. We can see the train, but we still have to trek up a steep hill to get to it. I swear to God, it felt like I was in Hadestown and I was about to belt out, "I'm coming, wait for me. I hear the walls repeating, the falling of our feet, and it sounds like drumming. And I am not alone. I hear the rocks and stones echoing out." In the end, we missed the train. But luckily, it wasn't the last one. But we still had to wait an hour for the last train. So we waited and we were able to get on that last train and head back home. I was so tired by the time I got home, I fell asleep instantly. Now, what did I learn from this? I learned that public transit is not for the weak. If you had to take public transit growing up, or even still do, I give you all my respect. Because if we had missed that last train, we would have been stranded or had to try and figure out the bus schedule, which would have been a whole another can of worms that I was not prepared to open. If I did decide to go on this trip again, I will try to get on the earliest train so that way I will have more time to enjoy the pier and get home earlier. And that, folks, is my first time experience with public transit. I hope you liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.